I'm 27 years old. I've no money and no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents. And I'm frightened.
I always mute the mic and then I forget that it's muted. What's up, everyone? Why am I so off center? How you guys doing? Apparently we have a good long walk. Ooh, you got a cup of chai? I'm kind of jealous because I don't have chai right now. I just have water, which, you know, water is good. Everyone needs to drink water. Chapter 58. I'm not going to start yet, don't worry. Thank you. I just did it today. I just did it this morning. I didn't see that message about the. Hold on. What am I gonna put my chat on the other window? I did not see that message about the silicone slip covers to warm your chai. Which chat was that on? Because I need some of those things. Because this thing, or any like, don't they have like things that you plug in that like keep your coffee warm from the bottom or something? Ooh, a cinnamon chai. That sounds great. Hold on, the music is still playing in the background in mine. Pause. How you guys doing? What's going on? What's new? What's exciting? Crazy we're going to finish Pride and Prejudice today. It's actually kind of nuts. Also, yeah, I got really sick of my little wings over my ears. So, just chopped it off this morning. You hate that Charlotte speech. What Charlotte speech? Oh, the movie one? I'm frightened. I feel like that's kind of her motivation, though. Maybe she's not frightened, but... what was I going to say? I totally forgot what I was going to say. Just got home. Nice. Little red tea. Enjoy, enjoy. What was I just saying? I totally forgot. Crazy that we're going to finish. We have 4 more chapters left. I feel like I weirdly feel like they need more. She needs more than 4 chapters to finish the story, but I mean, we'll see. Probably not. It's Jane Austen. She can kind of do what she wants. What is your guys' okay. For the next Jane Austen that we do, which will be sometime this year. I'm guessing sometime in the summer, maybe. We probably have like 4 or 5 books that I want to do before that, and then I want to do another Jane Austen. Recommendations. Everyone go. Okay, Persuasion is the first vote. I kind of like an author that doesn't linger over endings. Nemo asked a really interesting question in a different stream. Would you rather have a good book but a bad ending, or a bad book but a good ending? Sense and Sensibility, they're all good. Emma, Persuasion. Persuasion, definitely Persuasion. Persuasion. Wow, Persuasion or Northanger Abbey? Okay. Emma's more of a summer read. What kind of a read is Persuasion? Yeah, we got to theme the reads up. We got to theme the reads up for the seasons. It's got to be seasonal reads. If I like the Darcy letter, I'm going to love the Fitzwilliam letter? FW. Fitzwilliam. The FW letter? Persuasion is autumn? Okay, interesting. Maybe we'll do Persuasion in the fall. Persuasion is fall? Okay. Frederick Wentworth. I don't even know who that is. Persuasion's her most mature novel? Or Emma's her most mature novel? Do you care about following Austen M's growth as a writer? That would actually be kind of interesting. If Sense and Sensibility was her earliest. I actually kind of like following authors for their publication order, just to see how they grow. It is kind of fun. What's the last book that she wrote? It's Pride and Prejudice. We're screwed. Northanger Abbey was written first. Persuasion is the most mature novel. Interesting. Persuasion was the last. That's why it's the most mature. Maybe we'll hold on to persuasion then. Sorry, I need some chapstick. Also, I need to change the lighting on my camera. I look sick. I look so ghostly. Maybe that's just how I normally look. Technically, Lady Susan is her first. Okay, interesting. Frederick Wentworth. Who is your guys? You just reposted the message of cup covers in the Discord. Which channel? The General, I'm guessing. There it is. Thank you. We need a tea bag, buddy. Visit site. That actually keeps your tea warm. Oh, it secures the tea bag. That's kind of cool. Oh, and you can squeeze the tea bag out. Wow. Huh. #1 bestseller in tea bag coasters. That looks pretty sweet. I need that. Lady Susan is horrid. Interesting. Who is your guys' favorite character in Jane Austen? Ooh, okay. Northanger Abbey, Sense and Sensibility. Northanger Abbey is worse than Sense and Sensibility. It's less than Pride and Prejudice, less Mansfield Park, less than Emma, is less than Persuasion. Interesting. Security. He's here all week, guys. Squeezing the tea bag can make a brew more bitter. Yeah, I don't really squeeze the tea bag all that much. I just kind of keep it in and then just pop it out, toss it. Emma. Oh, that's publication order. Okay, interesting. Colonel Brandon is your favorite. Huh. You ever see those videos that are like, tell me something, I'm just starting, this book, tell me something that I'm not going to understand. You guys should do that. Tell me something about Jane Austen, but a future novel that I won't understand until I get there. And then I'll go, oh, it was then that they told me. Yada, yada, yada. Emma's your favorite character? Interesting. Colonel Brandon. Interesting that no one picked any Pride and Prejudice characters. Best guy is Tilney. Tilney, huh? Emma is very real. I do like a real character. Anne Elliot and Henry Tilney. Mrs. Norris. You like an evil character? I like that. Respect. Best guy is Mr. Knightley. What's Mr. Knightley from? Yeah, honestly, that's the best answer. The best one is wherever you're reading at the moment. Yeah, I guess anything from Pride and Prejudice is kind of basic because it's their most popular. Anne Elliot, Darcy, Henry Tilney. Mrs. Norris is awful. Mr. Knightley is an Emma. I have to admit, I'm pretty excited to... I'm getting a call from Northeast Georgia. Anybody from Northeast Georgia right now? Scammers. Probably. Maybe not. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I was going to say, I'm very excited about getting a voicemail. Very excited about Wuthering Heights, but I'm also a little nervous. I don't know what to expect. Well, I know what to expect. I know it's going to be a little more depressing. Also, everyone, great news. This is a new pencil. I just went and sharpened all my pencils yesterday. So I have 5 pencils that are ready to go and sharp. That took like a month. Favorite side character, Charlotte Palmer. I just keep getting previews for the movie for Wuthering Heights. So it's kind of making me anticipated and excited to watch or to read. AC, what's up? Yeah, we're gonna finish the novel, guys. Why did Siri just jump on all of a sudden? Crazy, we're gonna finish the novel today. I can't believe. I feel like that went so fast. I'm excited to do a reread of this eventually. Well, I do this thing where I have a pencil, and if it's not sharp, I put it in this one little spot. And then I just went and grabbed them all and sharpened them. And now they're just sitting in my car because I was leaving. So I was like, oh, let me just sharpen my pencils quick. And I forgot to take them out of my car. So they're just sitting in my car right now, which, that's not great. How many versions of Wuthering Heights are there? I'm kind of excited to do the BBC Pride and Prejudice and the movie. I'm going to do the movie first. Probably sometime next week. And then I don't know if I'm going to do a reaction video for that. Maybe I'll do my commentary throughout it as I watch. But those videos always get flagged for copyright. Also, everyone liked the stream. Come on. There's got to be an easier way. Hold on. I got to see if this works. Apparently, I think this only works for videos. Does this happen for live streams too? If I say the words to subscribe, does the little subscribe button on your YouTube page light up? Trig, we're just chatting before we start. You just made it in perfect timing. We're going to start in 5 minutes. There's a lot of very funny side characters. Apparently, it's the greatest kid on the internet. It doesn't? Okay, maybe it just does that for videos. Only subscribers can chat, though. Yeah, it's true. That's true. So it's not really going to work. Someone who's not subscribed, really quick, tell me. Subscribe, wait a minute, and then tell me. For videos, it does? Okay, that's good to know. I'm glad you guys are already subscribed. Who is going to stay? You're subscribed to the Lord of the Rings channel? You have to be subscribed to this one to chat. So I think you're subscribed to this one. Maybe it counts as, yeah, maybe. Because I have the feature on that you can only be a subscriber. You can only chat if you're a subscriber. Also, I want to start a poll. Because I want to know who is going to follow us and read Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights with us. Or you done after P and P. Keep reading or done? Let's see. I think most of you guys will probably keep do some Wuthering Heights with us, but we'll see. You're gonna hate it. Nemo, have you read it before? 13 votes, 14 votes, 100%. Oh, that makes me so happy. One person's done. Maybe 2 people are done. As soon as Pride and Prejudice, we're out. Ooh, I like that. You were reading Jane Eyre and then John, the memberships and the subscriptions are different. So you can't see the membership videos because that's like paying members. They see those first. But for subscribing, that's just like anybody can subscribe. You will, but you're going to complain a lot. I'm really excited because I feel like it's going to be a really controversial book. So I'm pretty pumped. Yeah, I feel like there's certain books that you kind of have to read as a group. I haven't read the original Wuthering Heights when we were a kid. You read an abridged version. It was so depressing. I never tried the real one. Interesting. It's going to be fun. Let's do this, guys. Let's get depressed together. Apparently, there's a lot of controversy. Apparently, there's a lot of controversy with the movie in the race swapping that they did. I don't know much, but I just heard that they're race swapping in the movie. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we read the book. Do you think Jane Austen named the kindest and most beautiful character in Pride and Prejudice? Yeah, for sure. She's like, this is definitely Jane. Interesting that Jane Eyre was written as a response to Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I like it. I like a poetic book. I don't know if I like a toxic book. It'd be fun to talk about and make videos about, to be honest. But I don't know if I like a toxic book. But we'll see. We'll see how we like it. I am excited to keep reading, or it's a read through Wuthering Heights. Charlotte didn't like Jane Austen. Interesting. A little rivalry going on there. Why didn't she like her? She wasn't real enough. Austen's greater than the Brontes. Okay. I'm still considering what our first Dickens is going to be because I want to read a Dickens book soon. My dad gave me 2 recommendations of Bleak House and Little Dorrit. My dad, I think, has read most of Dickens. I think my dad really likes Dickens. I'm thinking about Little Dorrit, but because I think Bleak House is a little too long to do. I want to like save the longer books. Maybe like we do one really long one a week or a year, a week. So maybe we'll do like Moby Dick this year and then maybe Bleak House next year or something like that. A Tale of Two Cities potentially. I know I think we're gonna do a Christmas Carol for Christmas. We have 11 months to get there, but Dickens either Bleak House or Nicholas Nickleby. I know Martin Chuzzlewit is another one. I think my mom likes that one. My mom likes all the BBC series stuff that they do. Yeah, Martin Chuzzlewit. What a name. Our mutual friend is underrated. Interesting. Okay. I feel like Dickens is a funny writer. I haven't really encountered much, but I feel like he's pretty good. David Copperfield. Have you read Demon Copperhead? I read the modern version of David Copperfield. That was pretty good. Although it was a little all over the place. Wasn't one of my favorites of Barbara Kingsolver. I think Poisonwood Bible is better. But everyone says Demon Copperhead is the greatest book of the century, which I think is a bit overstated, but you never know. You've only read A Tale of Two Cities, so any other Dickens would be nice. Nice. Nandel, did you like A Tale of Two Cities? Our mutual friend is your favorite Dickens, but it's a long one. Okay, interesting. Yeah, you got to do like a Christmas Carol over Christmas. Well, maybe we'll just do it every single month. Every year that we have this channel in Christmas, we will do a Christmas Carol. Are there any other Christmas stories out there? Are there any like other novels, classic novels that are centered around Christmas? Yeah, that's actually a great point, Jasper. I might have to try to read David Copperfield before I read Demon Copperhead. Although I read Demon Copperhead, and I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was incredible. So we'll read David Copperfield and reread Demon Copperhead. Dombey and Sons is excellent too. Dog is waiting. Be back later. Okay. Enjoy your walk with your dog. Hercule Poirot Christmas. Hard Times on audiobook is really interesting. When you read the Brontes, you understand that they read Byron. Yeah, I will 100% read Little Women. I'm actually really excited to read Little Women. I think I told you guys this story, but when I was at my most snooty for writing, when I was like, I only read like the greatest literature ever. I was only reading modern literature, and I was only reading Pulitzer Prize winners. I liked good writing. I didn't necessarily like good stories. I tried to read Little Women because one of my professors was talking about it, and I got through like the first page and was like, I can't do this. It's too sweet of writing. But I'm actually over that. I've been over that for like 10 years, so I'm really excited to go back into it and read Little Women, because there's a lot of people really like Little Women. And then I might be more excited to read Anne of Green Gables than Little Women. We'll probably do Anne of Green Gables sometime. Maybe not maybe in the next year. We'll do either Little Women or Anne of Green Gables in the next year. Anything above 3.5 out of 10 for you is worth your time. You didn't like Little Women. Couldn't finish it as a child. Interesting. It was really fun. Yeah, my mom, my nieces are reading Anne of Green Gables right now. So it'd be fun to like read it with them, kind of, and talk about it with them. It'd be great. So I'm definitely gonna get there soon. Only Dickens you truly enjoyed is Great Expectations. That's the only Dickens I've really read. I tried to read A Tale of Two Cities for like my sophomore summer in high school because that was a required reading and I couldn't do it. I just like skimmed it and then faked an essay. Favorite book when you were 11 was The Three Musketeers, and then you discovered Pride and Prejudice. Interesting. Yeah, we'll do Alice in Wonderland too. Yeah, guys, like the stream. All right, you guys ready to start? You guys ready to finish some Pride and Prejudice? Crazy. I'm actually kind of a little sad that we're finishing. It's like, it's crazy. But I'm excited to see what happens. We have 4 chapters left, again, which feels wildly not enough. E. Nesbit is a lot of fun. Never even heard of that. I have heard of that in relationship to Toy Story. My name is Mrs. Nesbit. Great movie. We talked about that. Not maybe a little bit overrated, but still a great movie. I am gonna do Dracula. Maybe we gotta do we'll do a scary book for like October. For like Halloweenish. Maybe Dracula, maybe what's the Frankenstein? Maybe we'll do a Frankenstein. I gotta plan it. Maybe later today I'll plan out what we're gonna read for the next year, because I feel like a monster for October, Christmas Carol for Christmas, maybe September we'll do Emma. What's a good like summer read? Give me a good summer read. Frankenstein is shorter. You're reading Dracula for the first time. Interesting. Ryan, that's not a classic. It's a classic to you, but Emma is summary. Wait, what was the other one that was Persuasion was folly? Okay, Persuasion for September. Yeah. Watership Down. Anne of Green Gables for the summer could be kind of fun. Maybe we'll do a Dickens in the summer. I don't know why, but I feel like Dickens is like summerish. Honestly, I take that back. I feel like Dickens is winter stuff. I don't know. Giovanni's Room. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. All right, we'll figure it out. I'll plan some stuff. Wow, 1970s was 50 years ago. That's actually crazy. We're getting old, guys. We're getting old. All right. Scarlet. Honestly, a good children's book would be kind of fun. Not that the Scarlet Pimpernel is a children's book. Is it a children's book? Why do I associate that with the children's book? Maybe we'll do... Yeah, Wind in the Willows. I'd probably do Narnia over on the actual first-timer page. The Secret Garden, that's actually a great idea. We'll chat about this on Discord. If you're on Discord, let's come up with a plan. Invite to server, copy. Jump on over in the Discord if you want. Charlotte's Web. That'd be kind of fun. I would really like to do like a good children's story. That'd be kind of fun. All right, guys. Let's wrap up Pride and Prejudice. Kind of sad. All right, this is chapter 58. You know what I would really like in this novel is a confrontation for Darcy to stick it back to Lady Catherine. Where we last left off, Lizzie is feeling awful about everything. Here we go. Instead of receiving any such letter of excuse from his friend, as Elizabeth half expected Mr. Bingley to do, he was able to bring Darcy with him to Longbourn before many days had passed after Lady Catherine's visit. Interesting. Why, maybe I'm missing something. Why would she expect a letter from Mr. Bingley? Like a letter of excuse? Just like an apology? Keep reading. She thought Lady C would persuade Darcy to give her up forever. Oh, interesting. Okay. He was able to bring Darcy with him to Longbourn. Many days had passed after Lady Catherine's visit. The gentleman arrived early, and before Mrs. Bennet had time to tell him of their having seen his aunt, of which her daughter sat in momentary dread, Bingley, who wanted to be alone with Jane, proposed their all walking out. It was agreed to. Mrs. Bennet was not in the habit of walking. Mary could never spare time, but the remaining 5 set off together. Oh, gosh. Come on, Kitty. Take a hint. Just get out of there. Bingley and Jane, however, soon allowed the others to outstrip them. They lagged behind, while Elizabeth, Kitty, and Darcy were to entertain each other. Very little was said by either. Kitty was much too afraid of him to talk. Elizabeth was secretly forming a desperate resolution. Perhaps he might be doing the same. Come on, Kitty. Get out of there. They walked toward the Lucases because Kitty wished to call upon Mariah. And as Elizabeth saw no occasion for making it a general concern when Kitty left them, she went boldly on with him alone. Now was the moment for her resolution to be executed. And while her courage was high, she immediately said, "Mr. Darcy, I am a very selfish creature, and for the sake of giving relief to my own feelings, care not how much I may be wounding yours. I can no longer help thanking you for your unexampled kindness to my poor sister. Ever since I have known it, I have been most anxious to acknowledge to you how gratefully I feel. Were it known to the rest of my family, I should not have merely my own gratitude to express." "I am sorry, exceedingly sorry," replied Darcy, in a tone of surprise and emotion, "that you have ever been informed of what may, in a mistaken light, have given you uneasiness. I did not think Mrs. Gardiner was so little to be trusted." I like that he was trying to keep this a total and utter secret, that he was like hoping that Lizzie would never know this. Speaks again to his character. "You must not blame my aunt. Lydia's thoughtlessness first betrayed to me that you had been concerned in the matter. And of course I could not rest till I knew the particulars. Let me thank you again and again in the name of my family for that generous compassion which induced you to take so much trouble and bear so many mortifications for the sake of discovering them." "If you will thank me," he replied, "let it be for yourself alone." Whew. That wish of giving happiness to you, my dad forced to the other inducements which led me on, I shall not attempt to deny. But your family owe me nothing. Much as I respect them, I believe, I thought only of you. Dang. Also, lie. Much as I respect them. I don't know about that. Elizabeth was too much embarrassed to say a word. After a short pause, the horns of Gondor call. It's so annoying that it goes off so often. I mean, that's terrible of me to say. There's probably an emergency, but can't they just text everyone? Yeah, her knees are trembling right now. They're going wild. Hold on, it's going to go off again in a second. There you go. Maybe he was talking about the gardeners. I feel like not, though. I feel like he was just talking about the rest of the family. I feel like he lost his... I think he temporarily lost his respect to the gardeners when the gardeners told him. Yeah, that's a great point. Darcy did not want her to feel obligation to marry him. I think that's the thing a lot of guys would probably do in a situation like that. You want to just keep that totally secret, so she's not like, okay, now I have to marry him because he's so kind to my family. You want it to be for the right reasons. Elizabeth was much too embarrassed to say a word. After a short pause, her companion added, "You are too generous to trifle with me. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. My affections and wishes are unchanged. But one word from you will silence me on this subject forever." I'm getting the chills. This is crazy. Elizabeth, feeling all the more than common awkwardness and anxiety of his situation, now forced herself to speak, and immediately, though not very fluently, gave him to understand that her sentiments had undergone so material a change since the period to which he alluded as to make her receive with gratitude and pleasure his present assurances. The happiness which this reply produced was such as he had probably never felt before, and he expressed himself on the occasion as sensibly and as warmly as a man violently in love can be supposed to do. Had Elizabeth been able to encounter his eyes, she might have seen how well the expression of heartfelt delight diffused over his face became him. But though she could not look, she could listen, and he told her of feelings which, in proving of what importance she was to him, made his affection every moment more valuable. This is cute. This is really cute, but I'm gonna say too, and this is we were talking about this last time. I wish we actually got dialogue. It's the only thing that I'm like, just give me. I want this moment. I feel like we've been building for this moment so long that we actually deserve. We deserve what they actually said to each other. Yeah, Nandela, exactly. This is a conversation that I really wish we got to read. 100%. Like, it's cute. And like Jane Austen, like writing in long sentences, she says like, Elizabeth, now feeling all more common awkwardness and anxiety of her situation, now forced herself to speak, and immediately, though not very fluently, gave him to understand that her sentiments had undergone so material a change since the period to which he alluded, as to make her receive with gratitude and pleasure his present assurances. I just want every detail of that. They walked on without knowing in what direction. That's cute. There was too much to be thought and felt and said for attention to any other objects. She soon learnt that they were indebted for their present good understanding to the efforts of his aunt, who did call on him in her return through London, and there relate her journey to Longbourn, its motive and the substance of her conversation with Elizabeth, dwelling emphatically on every expression of the latter, which, in her ladyship's apprehension, peculiarly denoted her perverseness and assurance in the belief that such a relation must assist her endeavors to obtain that promise from her nephew, which she had refused to give. But unluckily for her ladyship, Its effect had been exactly contrariwise. It taught me to hope, said he, as I had scarcely ever allowed myself to hope before. I knew enough of your disposition to be certain that, had you been absolutely, irrevocably decided against me, you would have acknowledged it to Lady Catherine, frankly and openly. Interesting that he's using this as like a test. I did not think that he was going to do that. I guess like after the fact that you can kind of use that as a test. That's fascinating to me. I thought he was just going to like denounce how terrible that meeting was. Like how sorry he was that she came. Elizabeth colored and laughed as she replied, "Yes, you know enough of my frankness to believe me capable of that. After abusing you so abominably to your face, I could have no scruple in abusing you to all your relations. What did you say of me that I did not deserve? For though your accusations were ill-founded, formed on mistaken premises, my behavior to you at the time had merited the severest reproof. It was unpardonable. I cannot think of it without abhorrence. We will not quarrel for the greater share of blame. And next to that evening, said Elizabeth, the conduct of neither is strictly examined. Will be irreproachable. But since then, we have both, I hope, improved in civility. I cannot be so easily reconciled to myself. The recollection of what then said, of my conduct, my manners, my expressions, during the whole of it is now, and has been many months, inexpressibly painful to me. Your reproof so well applied I shall never forget. Had you behaved in a more gentlemanlike manner? Those were the words. You know not, you can scarcely conceive how they have tortured me. Though it was some time, I confess, before I was reasonable enough to allow their justice. Interesting. Pride and Prejudice written through the view of Darcy would be really interesting too, because he's probably going through the same things of Lizzie is with like overthinking everything and like wanting to change and like resisting the change. It was certainly very far from expecting them to make so strong an impression. I had not the smallest idea of their being ever felt in such a way. I can easily believe it. You thought me then devoid of every proper feeling. I am sure you did. The turn of your countenance I shall never forget, as you said that I could not have addressed you in any possible way that you would induce that would induce you to accept me. This is, I gotta say, this is less romantic than I thought it was gonna be. I'm sure it's gonna get more romantic, but I wanted less of this and more of like, I guess they're kind of gushing to some extent. We're getting dialogue, but it's not like it's like explanation. I wonder too about yeah, Jan, well, it's an interesting point because in my head I'm wondering, is Jane Austen resisting like the romantic tropes? Maybe there were other people writing at the time and she didn't really like how some of them were writing romance, and so she was just trying to change something, make her book a bit more serious. It is wholesome, but it's like it's rational. Like everything is like too rational, right? Yeah, a little bit more real. She was pretty mocking of overly romantic books. Interesting. I guess I just came in with expectations that it was going to be a little bit more like gushy after this. Like they had so many stored up emotions that all at once they're just going to kind of like let them all out. I'm sure there's going to be other books that we read that are going to be way more dramatic that I can't stand because of their drama. I'm sure Wuthering Heights might be like that. But here's the difference. Maybe I came with pop culture expectations, but I'm expecting us to actually get that conversation. I think that's the reason I'm maybe a little bummed right now is because we didn't get the conversation of what happened with their proposal and their acceptance of proposal. But we do get their rational discussion, which is just interesting to me. How Austen didn't want to go into the romantic side of things. And she's like, now I just want my characters to explain to each other what was going on and what was going on in each other's mind. And it is very romantic because it's like, here, read my journal on what my thoughts were. But yeah, I'm excited for the adaptations if they had to write that for the screen. Honestly, it is really relatable in that way. And that is very true. It is that's the kind of the part that matters right here. But the other stuff is just extra. Like it would have been fun to have just some extras. But I'm sure we're gonna get more romantic lines. So I mean, I'm only like a page into this, so let's keep reading. No, I'm saying that the rationality is good. I like that. But I also want the romance and the rationality. I think that's an important combo. I don't want her to give me the narration of the romance and then give me the rational discussion that is also romance, but just a little bit different of romance. It's a bit more social commentary. KM, thanks for the $20. Going on about feelings would be vulgar for the time their strength if growing on practical and communication. Yeah, that's kind of what I feel like she's kind of resisting, which is maybe why Jane Austen is a really good writer for that. She's resisting the urge to just jump into more romantic writing because she doesn't want to like be typecast as that kind of writer. It's interesting because I think in my head when I think of like the most romantic writer of all time, I would probably say a lot of people would say Jane Austen is. And she is in certain ways. But it's just different. It's different from what I expected, which I kind of like. It's an interesting surprise. I just need to process through this more. She hated cheese? No way. Well, that makes sense. Like I hate cheese too, so like a little cheesiness in some of these novels. Yeah, this is like everything is like coming out right now. There's like bursting forth. Yeah, I'll do the movies after this. All right, let's keep reading. Do not repeat what I then said. These recollections will not do at all. I assure you that I have long been most heartily ashamed of it. Darcy mentioned his letter. Did it soon make you think better of me? Did you, on reading it, give any credit to its contents? She explained what effect it had on her, what its effect on her had been, and how gradually all her former prejudices had been removed. I knew, said he, that what I wrote must give you pain, but it was necessary. I hope you have destroyed the letter. There was one part, especially the opening of it, which I should dread your having the power of reading again. I can remember some expressions which might justly make you hate me. Oh, he's just so in his head. He's just so nervous. The letter shall certainly be burnt if you believe it essential to the preservation of my regard. But though we both have reason to think my opinions not entirely unalterable, they are not, I hope, quite so easily changed as that implies. When I wrote that letter, replied Darcy, I believed myself perfectly calm and cool. But I am since convinced that it was written in a dreadful bitterness of spirit. He's got a good self-awareness. The letter perhaps began in bitterness, but it did not end so. The adieu is charity itself, but think no more of the letter. Lizzie's literally memorized the letter. So what are we talking? She's like, yeah, I'll burn it, of course. But in her head, she's like reciting the letter over and over. Come on. The feelings of the person who wrote and the person who received it are now so widely different from what they were then that every unpleasant circumstance attending it ought to be forgotten. You must learn some of my philosophy. Think only of the past as its remembrance gives you pleasure. I cannot give you credit for any philosophy of the kind. Your retrospection must be so totally void of reproach that the contentment arising from them is not the philosophy, but what is much better, of ignorance. But with me it is not so. Painful recollections will intrude, which ought not to be repelled. I have been a selfish being all my life in practice, though not in principle. As a child, I was taught what was right, but I was not taught to correct my temper. I was given good principles, but left to follow them in pride and conceit. Unfortunately, an only son, for many years an only child, I was spoilt by my parents, who, though good themselves, my father particularly, all that was benevolent and amiable, allowed, encouraged, almost taught me to be selfish and overbearing, to care for none beyond my own family circle, to think meanly of the rest of the world, to wish at least to think meanly of their sense of worth and worth compared with my own. Such I was from 8 to 28, and such I might have still been, but for you, dearest, loveliest Elizabeth. What do I not owe you? You taught me a lesson. Hard indeed at first, but most advantageous. This is the stuff that I wanted. This is great. This is what I want right here. By you, I was properly humbled. I came to you with a doubt of my reception. You showed me how insufficient were all my pretensions to please a woman worthy of being pleased. Whew. Okay, this is the good stuff. This is what I want. Had you then persuaded yourself that I should? Indeed, I had. What will you think of my vanity? I believed you to be wishing, expecting my addresses. My manner must have been in fault, but not intentionally, I assure you. I never meant to deceive you, but my spirits might often lead me wrong. How you must have hated me after that evening. Hate you? I was angry, perhaps at first, but my anger soon began to take a proper direction. I am almost afraid of asking what you thought of me when we met at Pemberley. You blamed me for coming. Or you blamed me for coming? No, indeed, I felt nothing but surprise. Your surprise could not be greater than mine in being noticed by you. My conscience told me that I deserved no extraordinary politeness, and I confess that I did not expect to receive more than my due. That's interesting, too, because her expectations on that were so low. Well, maybe not that low. Very average, because she kind of had her opinions changed of Darcy. But he came and knocked him out of the park anyway. Yeah, that name drop there is phenomenal. Because this is something that I can't stand. I mean, this is one of the biggest thing of writers that people talk about. Like, you know, the amount that we use names in real conversation is very little. And some writers think that you have to write the person's name all over the page, whoever they're talking to give them, like, you know, to give the reader understanding of who's actually speaking and who they're speaking to. But that is like a farce. And Jane Austen does not use names a lot in her writing, except when that was a great moment. Darcy saying the name Elizabeth. It's great. All right, let's keep reading. My objection then, replied Darcy, was to show you by every civility in my power that I was not so mean as to resent the past. Love that. And I hope to obtain your forgiveness, to lessen your ill opinion by letting you see what your reproofs had been attended to. How soon any other wishes introduced themselves, I can hardly tell. But I believe in about half an hour after I had seen you. Now, this is interesting because there's a difference in... Like, there's... Every character in this is a foil for the others. I keep thinking of the difference between Collins and between Darcy. And Collins sees some stuff about Lizzie and immediately backs out and was like, I want nothing to do with her. And so his next coming into the thing was like, or anytime that Lizzie met with her, every one of his motivations seemed to be, let me show her what she missed out on. And so there's like a bit of nastiness behind that. And Darcy, on the other hand, still loved her. And so his actions at Pemberley were more like, I want to be super kind to her, not to show her what she's missing out on, but to try to win her back, which is so much better. Yeah, his humility instead of resentment after the rejection, for sure. That's what it is. And it's interesting that like Collins is still feeling that resentment, because you can tell in how he is overcompensating for like all the good things that he has in his life. He's like, oh, look at everything that you missed out on, Lizzie. Which Lizzie's like, I didn't miss out on crap because you're a loser. Anyway, let's keep reading. He then told her of Georgiana's delight in her acquaintance and of her disappointment at its sudden interruption, which naturally leading to a cause of that interruption, she soon learnt of his resolution of following her from Derbyshire in quest of her sister. Had been formed before she quitted the inn, and that his gravity and thoughtfulness thoughtfulness there had arisen from no other struggle than what such a purpose must comprehend. She expressed her gratitude again, but it was so painful a subject to each to be dwelt on farther. After walking several miles in a leisurely manner, and too busy to know anything about it, they found at last, on examining their watches, that it was time to be at home. What could become of Mr. Bingley and Jane? What a wonder, which introduced the discussion of their affairs. Darcy was delighted with their engagement. His friend had given him the earliest information of it. I must ask whether you were surprised, said Elizabeth. Not at all. When I went away, I felt that it would happen soon. That is to say, you had given your permission. I guessed as much. And though he exclaimed at the term, she found that it had been pretty much the case. On the evening before my going to London, said he, I made a confession to him which I believe I ought to have made long ago. I told him of all that occurred to make my former interference in his affairs absurd and impertinent. His surprise was great. He had never had the slightest suspicion. I told him, moreover, that I believed myself mistaken in supposing, as I had done, that your sister was indifferent to him, and as I could easily perceive that his attachment to her was unabated, I felt no doubt of their happiness together. What a good little friend here. Darcy's the best, guys. I just love Darcy. He's so great. Elizabeth could not help smiling at his easy manner of directing his friend. Did you speak from your own observation, she said, when you told him that my sister loved him? Or merely from my information last spring? From the former. I had narrowly observed her during her two visits which I had made her here. I was convinced of her affection. And your assurance of it, I suppose, carried immediate conviction to him. It did. The Bingley-Darcy thing is just so cute. Like, he's just being an older brother. Bingley is most unaffectedly modest. His diffidence had prevented his depending on his own judgment in so anxious a case, but his reliance on mine made everything easy. I was obliged to confess one thing which for a time, and not unjustly, offended him. I could not allow myself to conceal that your sister had been in town 3 months last winter, that I had known it, and purposefully kept it from him. He was angry. But his anger, I am persuaded, lasted no longer than he remained in any doubt of your sister's sentiments. He had heartily forgiven me now. I love Bingley. That's so great. Elizabeth longed to observe that Mr. Bingley had been a most delightful friend, so easily guided that his worth was invaluable. But she checked herself. She remembered that he had yet to learn to be laughed at. Interesting. And it was rather too early to begin. That's so cute. In anticipating the happiness of Bingley, which of course was inferior to his own, he continued the conversation until they reached the house. In the hall, they parted. What a bunch of cuties. That's funny. Good little friends there. I like that he gets angry too, and that he just immediately forgives because he's so in love with Jane. Yeah, Bingley was never going to change. He's going to be the same old Bingley, but that's what we love. I love Bingley. Good on Bingley. I don't think we're going to get a meeting with Lady Catherine again, but I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind like a confrontation with Lady Catherine. I hope that Darcy and Elizabeth go to Lady Catherine's and say, "Hey, screw you. We're engaged. Good luck to your daughter who you're abusing." All right, chapter 59. Yeah, so it's interesting. Bingley, I do kind of feel sorry for him. Like he is kind of he seems a little codependent. Like he needs someone to make his decisions. Makes me wonder what happened in his past a little bit. He's like new to his fortune. Maybe he just doesn't know exactly what's going on. Certain things. Excuse me. But yeah. Like, why did he become the way that he is? He's an orphan. That's true. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, Carolyn. That's so true. He was raised by Carolyn. Oh my gosh. Oh, Bingley's only 22. That's interesting. Yeah, he's a babe. He's a child. All right, chapter 59. My dear Lizzie, where can you have been walking to? Was a question which Elizabeth received from Jane as soon as she entered the room. A little gossip. And from all the others when they sat down to table. She had only to say in reply that they had wandered about till she was beyond her own knowledge. She colored as she spoke, but neither that nor anything else awakened a suspicion of the truth. Interesting. Huh. The evening passed quietly, unmarked by anything extraordinary. The acknowledged lovers talked and laughed. This is great. I love this so much because like they're engaged. Are they engaged? Yeah, they're engaged. This is pretty much like they're engaged. Yeah. And they just get to like have dinner and like they're not telling anybody yet, but they're just sharing in like this little joy, this little secret together, and they're just flirting it up. They're just having a great time. This is really great. I love this. I love this moment. The unacknowledged were silent. The acknowledged lovers talked and laughed. The unacknowledged were silent. Darcy was not of a disposition in which happiness overflows in mirth. And Elizabeth, agitated and confused, rather knew that she was happy than felt herself to be so. For besides the immediate embarrassment, there were other evils before her. She anticipated what would be felt in the family when her situation became known. She was aware that no one liked him but Jane, and even feared with the others it was dislike, which not at all his fortune and consequence might do away. At night she opened her heart to Jane. Though suspicion was very far from Miss Bennet's general habits, She was absolutely incredulously here. You are joking, Lizzie. This cannot be. Engaged to Mr. Darcy. No, you shall not deceive me. I know it to be impossible. This is a wretched beginning indeed. My sole dependence was on you, and I am sure nobody else will believe me if you do not. Yet indeed, I am in earnest. I speak nothing but the truth. He still loves me, and we are engaged. Jane looked at her doubtingly. Oh, Lizzie, it cannot be. I know how much you dislike him. You know nothing of the matter. That is all to be forgot. Perhaps I did not always love him so well as I do now. But in such cases as these, a good memory is unpardonable. This is the last time I shall ever remember it myself. Miss Bennet still looked all amazement. Elizabeth again, and more seriously assured her of its truth. This is great. Good heaven, can it really be so? Yet now I must believe you, cried Jane. My dear, dear Lizzie, I do congratulate you. But are you certain? Forgive the question. Are you quite certain that you can be happy with him? What a good sister. This is so fantastic. This makes me so happy. Like, I think I was talking to someone about the similarities between Jane and Darcy, and I really am seeing that more and more. They're such protectors. And so she's like, before you really fall in love with him, do you think that you'll actually be happy with this guy? She's asking great questions. Before you fall into this infatuation, do you love him? Like, will you be happy? Man. Great sister. And Darcy's a great, like friend brother. There can be no doubt of that. It is settled between us already that we are to be the happiest couple in the world. But are you pleased, Jane? Shall you like to have such a brother? Very, very much. Nothing could give either Bingley or myself more delight. But we considered it. We talked of it as impossible. I love this. Bingley and Jane were waltzing around the gardens, just gossiping about this. They're going, they would make such a great couple, wouldn't they? Fire alarm, the horns of Gondor again. Give me a sec. It's going to go off again in a second. There you go. Lizzie now has the best support network. Honestly, that's all she needs. She just needs Jane's support and she's good. Yeah, they're celebrating the new engagement. Exactly. Yes. Sound the alarms of Longbourn. We talked about it. Oh, Lizzie, do anything rather than marry without affection. Are you quite sure that you feel what you ought to do? Oh, yes. You will only think I feel more than I ought to do when I tell you all. What do you mean? Why, I must confess that I love him better than I do Bingley. I am afraid you will be angry. My dearest sister, now be serious. I want to talk very seriously. Let me know everything I am to know without delay. Will you tell me how long you have loved him? It has been coming on so gradually that I hardly knew when it began. But I believe I must date it from my first seeing his beautiful grounds at Pemberley. All right, that's a little bit. I don't love that answer that much. Come on. I just loved how he just had such a good garden. Jane is going to go, no, come on, not that. Another entreaty that she would be serious, however, produced the desired effect. There you go. That is great. And she soon satisfied Jane by her solemn assurances of attachment. When convinced on that article, Miss Bennet had nothing farther to wish. Now I am quite happy, she said, for you'll be as happy as myself. I always had a value for him. Were it for nothing but his love of you, I must always have esteemed him. But now, as Bingley's friend and your husband, there can only be Bingley and yourself more dear to me. But Lizzie, you have been very sly, very reserved with me. How little did you tell me of what passed at Pemberley and Lambton? I owe all that I know of it to another, not to you. Oh. Elizabeth told her the motives of her secrecy. She had been unwilling to mention Bingley, and the unsettled state of her own feelings had made her equally avoid the name of his friend. But now she would no longer conceal from her his share in Lydia's marriage. All was acknowledged, and half the night spent in conversation. Interesting. That's gonna be good. A good discussion between them. A little bit of a clearing of the air. Because I'm sure Jane probably felt a little hurt by that. Because they were in each other's confidence with almost everything. That is one thing that it's probably tough for her. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. Good gracious, cried Mrs. Bennet as she stood at her window next morning. If that disagreeable Mr. Darcy is not coming here again with our dear Bingley, what can he mean by being so tiresome as to be always coming here? I had no notion that he would go a shooting or something or other, and not disturb us with his company. What shall we do with him? Lizzie, you must walk out with him again, that he may not be in Bingley's way. Elizabeth could hardly help laughing at so convenient a proposal, yet was really vexed that her mother should always be giving him such an epitaph. Yeah. As soon as they entered, Bingley looked at her so expressively, and shook hands with such warmth, as left no doubt of his good information. And he soon afterwards said aloud, Mr. Bennet, have you no more lanes hereabout in which Lizzie may lose her way again today? I advise Mr. Darcy, and Lizzie, and Kitty, said Mrs. Bennet, to walk Oakham Mount this morning. It is a nice long walk, and Mr. Darcy has never seen the view. It may do well for the others, replied Mr. Bingley, but I am sure it will be too much for Kitty. Won't it, Kitty? Kitty owned that she had rather stay at home. Darcy professed a great curiosity to see the view from the mount, and Elizabeth silently consented. As she went upstairs to get ready, Mrs. Bennet followed her, saying, I am quite sorry, Lizzie, that you should be forced to having that disagreeable man all to yourself, but I hope you will not mind it. It is all for Jane's sake, you know. There is no occasion for talking to him except just now and then. So do not put yourself to inconvenience. This is great. Yeah, Bingley's awesome. Bingley is the man right now. He's being such a great wingman. This is honestly Bingley maturing a little bit too. I like this. During their walk, it was resolved that Mr. Bennet's consent should be asked in the course of the evening. Elizabeth reserved to herself the application for her mother's. She could not determine how her mother would take it, sometimes doubting whether all his wealth and grandeur would be enough to overcome her abhorrence of the man. But whether she were violently set against the match or violently delighted with it, it was certain that her manner would be equally ill-adapted to do credit to her sense, and she could no more bear that Mr. Darcy should hear the first raptures of her joy than the first vehemence of her disapprobation. In the evening, soon after Mr. Bennet withdrew to the library, she saw Mr. Darcy rise also and follow him. And her agitation on seeing it was so extreme she did not fear for her father's opposition, but he was going to be made unhappy. and that it should be through her means that she, his favorite child, should be distressing him by her choice, should be filling him with fears and regrets of disposing of her, was a wretched reflection, and she sat in misery till Mr. Darcy appeared again, when, looking at him, she was little relieved by his smile. In a few minutes, he approached the table where she was sitting with Kitty, and while pretending to admire her work, said in a whisper, "Go to your father. He wants you in the library." She was gone directly. Her father was walking about the room, looking grave and anxious. "Lizzie," said he, "what are you doing? Are you out of your senses to be accepting this man? Have not you always hated him?" How earnestly did she wish that her former opinions had been more reasonable, her expressions more moderate. It would have spared her from explanations and professions, which it was exceedingly awkward to give. But they were now necessary, and she assured him with some confusion of her attachment to Mr. Darcy. Or in other words, you are determined to have him. He is rich, to be sure, and you may have more fine clothes and fine carriages than Jane. But will they make you happy? Have you any other objection, said Elizabeth, than your belief of my indifference? Not at all. We all know him to be a proud, unpleasant sort of man, but this would be nothing if you really liked him. I do like him, she replied with tears in her eyes. I love him. Indeed, he has no improper pride. He is perfectly amiable. You do not know what he really is. Then pray do not pain me by speaking of him in such terms. You know, there's a little interest here that I have in like Elizabeth knows his character and she knows he's great. The Gardners also know he's great. I wish that Elizabeth would say, you can keep having a negative opinion of him, but I know that he's going to change this negative opinion that you guys have of him when you actually get to know him. Like, and maybe she would say, please just go and like go on a long walk with him and get to know him, because you're going to realize how great of a guy he is, rather than being like, stop talking about him being so bad because it's crushing me. She has like a little bit of her mother in her, like her poor nerves a little bit. Maybe that's terrible of me to say, but just it's an interesting motive. Yeah, she doesn't need to explain them. Yeah. Keep reading? Okay. All right. Read and find out moment. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, but I don't think it's insulting. I don't think he's doing really anything to insult her or to insult him. I think he's more so doing something where he's like, he's looking out for, he's fathering. This is the best fathering he's ever done. Because this is his favorite daughter. And so he really wants to make sure that she's happy and that she's like, okay. And so he's like questioning everything that she's doing to make sure that she actually is happy. Because Mr. Bennet doesn't know a thing about Mr. Darcy, really. All that he knows is, all that she knows, or all that he knows is what Lizzie has said about him. And so he's probably super confused. And that's kind of what I'm saying too. I think he's repeating her former judgments before really knowing Darcy. And Elizabeth is like, I wish Elizabeth, rather than say stop insulting him, would say, you got to just get to know him. Like you just don't know how good he is, because I was wrong about this, and you're gonna kind of eat your words soon too. Corgan, what's up? We're in the middle of chapter 59. Yeah, middle of chapter 59. But let's keep reading. Let's keep reading and finding out. Yeah, it is an emotional time for her too. Yeah, for sure. She's gone through a lot. She's so confused of her own stuff. She's sure about one thing, but she's like stressing about telling all these people. So she can shed a few tears with no problem on my part. Lizzie, said her father, I have given him my consent. He's the kind of man indeed to whom I should never dare refuse anything which he condescended to ask. I now give it to you, if you are resolved on having him. But let me advise you to think better of it. I know your disposition, Lizzie. I know that you could be happy. You could be neither happy nor respectable unless you truly esteemed your husband, unless you looked up to him as a superior. Your lively talents would place you in the greater danger in an unequal marriage. You could scarcely escape discredit and misery. My child, let me not have the grief of seeing you unable to respect your partners in life. You know not what you are about. I think that's a great point. Like he doesn't know that he's like not a good father with the rest, but he wants to make sure he gets something right with Lizzie. My child, let me not have the grief of seeing you unable to respect your partner in life, because he's not able to respect his partner. He's self-projecting a lot for sure, but I actually think he's hitting the nail on the head here. He's speaking from experience, but because he thinks that him and Lizzie are so similar, he like knows. He's warning her to not fall into the same mistake. But he's not necessarily doing this because of his actual opinions on Darcy. I think he's doing this because of what Lizzie has thought of Darcy. This is a great conversation. I love this. He's actually doing a good job of fathering for a second. I think it's really good. Elizabeth, still more affected, was earnest and solemn in her reply, and at length, by repeated assurances that Mr. Darcy was really the object of her choice, by explaining the gradual change which her estimation of him had undergone, relating her absolute certainty that his affection was not the work of a day, but had stood the test of many months' suspense, and enumerating with energy all his good qualities till she did conquer her father's incredulity and reconcile him to the match. That's like annoying for her to do. I feel for her on that. She just has to like sit here and say like, look, okay, let me explain to you how I changed my mind and why I think he's really a good guy. That's exhausting for her to do. I don't love that she had to do that. But sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do. Yeah, for all his faults, he's right about this one for sure. For sure. And he's like trying to protect her. He's like, my other daughter, don't care about what Lydia just went through. I'm mad at her. Jane is going to be happy because Jane's Jane. But you cannot. And he like knows his daughter here too, because that's very true. Elizabeth, imagine Elizabeth being with Collins. How awful that would have been. The movie handles this conversation differently. Interesting. Yeah, Nemo, I'm with you. Those are the only two. And I don't think she has to convince her mother, because she doesn't necessarily care that much, but I think she is going to attempt that, at least to try to talk to her mother. Her mother's not going to see sense much. But a little bit. There has to be a little of that conversation there. Yeah. All right, let's keep reading. Well, my dear, said he, when she ceased speaking, I have no more to say. If this be the case, he deserves you. I could not have parted with you, my Lizzie, to anyone less worthy. That's great. That's really great. He's not a great dad, but that is a great thing to say to your daughter. That's like kind of heartbreaking too. Like, I could not have parted with you. Like, they're united in being little accomplices, and now he's gonna say, "Now, I leave you to someone more worthy." That's lovely. Yeah, all that he has to tell the mother, he's rich. And her mother's going, all right, fine. I'm okay with that then. Yeah, everyone liked the stream too. Come on. Thanks for the reminder. Everyone liked the stream. To compete the favorable impression, she then told him what Mr. Darcy had voluntarily done for Lydia. Oh, that's cool. That his opinion of Darcy was changed before he knew that. And now she's telling him the greatest little bit of this. He heard her with astonishment. This is an evening of wonders indeed. And so Darcy did everything. Made up the match, gave the money, paid the fellow's debts, and got him his commissions. So much the better. It will save me a world of trouble and economy. Had it been your uncle's doing, I must and would have paid him. But these violent young lovers carry everything their own way. I shall pay him tomorrow. He will rant and storm about his love for you, and there will be an end of the matter. All right, that's a little sleazy, but okay, there you go. He then recollected her embarrassment a few days before on his reading Mr. Collins's letter, and after laughing at her some time, allowed her at last to go, saying as she quitted the room, if any young men come for Mary or Kitty, send them in. I am quite at leisure. Who are they going to marry? Do we get any information about who they marry? And it probably isn't. Nothing is in the same universe, I'm sure. But is there at all connections? Do people have connections for all the Jane Austen works? Does Pemberley ever get mentioned in any other novel again? Anything else that Jane Austen wrote, does she ever mention Pemberley or does Darcy's name? No crossovers? Bummer. That'd be kind of fun. I'm sure that fans do that. I'm sure fans do that all over the time. Because I would love to know more about their story, I would love for one random character in Persuasion to be like, oh yeah, and Mr. and Mrs. Darcy over there living the happy life in Pemberley. They're way too happy. No shared universe. That's a bummer. Elizabeth's mind was now relieved from a very heavy weight, and after half an hour's quiet reflection in her own room, she was able to join the others with tolerable composure. Ooh, a little introvert there. Everything was too recent for gaiety, but the evening passed tranquilly away. There was no longer anything material to be dreaded, and the comfort and ease of familiarity would come in time. When her mother went to her dressing room at night, she followed her, and made the important communication. Its effect was most extraordinary, for on first hearing it, Mrs. Bennet sat quite still and unable to utter a syllable. Nor was it under many, many minutes that she could comprehend what she heard, though not in general backward to credit what was for the advantage of her family, or that it came in shape of a lover to any of them. She began at length to recover, to fidget about in her chair, get up, sit down again, wonder, and bless herself. Good gracious! Lord bless me, only think, dear me, Mr. Darcy, who would have thought it? And is it really true? Oh, my sweetest Lizzie, how rich and how great you will be. What pin money, what jewels, what carriages you will have. Jane is nothing to it. Nothing at all. Oh, I am so pleased, so happy. Such a charming man, so handsome, so tall. Oh, my dear Lizzie, pray apologize for my having disliked him so much before. I hope he will overlook it. Dear, dear Lizzie, a house in town, everything that is charming, 3 daughters married, 10,000 a year. Oh Lord, what will become of me? I shall go distracted. Mrs. Bennet is ridiculous. Typical Mrs. Bennet. That's so funny. I feel like everyone kind of knew that she was immediately going to forget any of her griefs against Darcy because of his wealth. For the first time ever, she was silent. Pin money is personal money. I was wondering that when I read that. That is so good. This was enough to prove that her approbation need not be doubted. And Elizabeth, rejoicing that such an effusion was heard only by herself, soon went away. Before she had been 3 minutes in her own room, her mother followed her. My dearest child, she cried, I can think of nothing else. 10,000 a year, and very likely more. 'Tis as good as a lord, and a special license. You must and shall be married by a special license. There's a footnote in mine. Special license? Is she saying, like, don't get a prenup? Mrs. Bennet may be thinking of the social cachet of being married by special license from the bishop, or she may simply wish to speed the marriage up, fearful perhaps that Darcy will change his mind or that Lady Catherine will intervene. Yeah, Darcy's going to become her new favorite. They need to do this conversation in the adaptation. I really hope they do. They can get married faster. Okay, interesting. You must and shall be married by a special license. But my dearest love, tell me what dish Mr. Darcy is particularly fond of, that I may have it tomorrow. That's cute. Mrs. Bennet. Mrs. Bennet is doing Mrs. Bennet things, but that's actually lovely. Actually, she's not making that, but that's actually kind of thoughtful of her. Still, that she's like, I just want to make whatever his favorite is. And let's be honest, she's doing this to get into the good graces of Darcy so that Darcy, gets a little bit of money that he gives to the mother-in-law. But still, that's a sweet thought. I do really feel like Pride and Prejudice through the eyes of Darcy would be such a fascinating book. Be a little bit different, obviously, but I think it'd be so fascinating. Special license suggests there is a hurry. Pregnancy, interesting, and is also expensive. I think she just wants Lizzie to lock the deal up so that nothing else, so that he can't back out. If you're not a noble, it's hard to get a license. Interesting. Okay. Send me that Dr. Cox video. Just throw it in the Discord if you can. If you need the Discord link, here it is. Also, everyone like the stream. Yeah, I remember the 2005 adaptation really for the music. I used to play that soundtrack all the time. It's got a great score. One of the best scores in all film. Special licenses for rich people. Interesting. I say it's like going to Vegas. It's a special license and going to Vegas and getting married quick. This was a sad omen of what her mother's behavior to the gentleman himself might be. And Elizabeth found that though in the certain possession of his warmest affection and secure of her relation's consent, there was still something to be wished for. But the morrow passed off much better than she expected, for Mrs. Bennet luckily stood in such awe of her intended son-in-law that she ventured not to speak to him, unless it was in her power to offer him any attention, or mark her deference for his opinion. Elizabeth had the satisfaction of seeing her father taking pains to get acquainted with him. That's great. And Mr. Bennet soon assured her that he was rising every hour in his esteem. I admire all three of my son-in-laws highly, he said. Wickham perhaps is my favorite, but I think I shall like your husband quite as well as Jane's. That's cute. There's a lot of cute little things that are happening in this novel. So in chapter 58, when I was initially talking about like the romantic stuff, like I don't think I want like sappy romantic stuff. This is the stuff that I want. I want to see everyone's reactions in dialogue. That's why the moment that we didn't get of dialogue with their actual proposal was a bummer to me, because I want to know what they said to each other. This is the kind of stuff that I love, where they're like doing explanations and people are like, oh no, I love, Wickham's still my favorite, but I'm probably going to like Darcy as much as I like Bingley. Like those are the cute lines that I really, really love. Like really well written stuff, like cheek and fun and like flirtation. I just love that stuff. I think it's so great. Austen's very good at doing that too, which is kind of why I would love more of that. Yeah, he's maybe not the greatest father. He's a great father to Lizzie, or a passable father to Lizzie. We'll see. All right, let's do chapter 60. We got 2 more chapters left. This is crazy. Chapter 60. Elizabeth's spirit soon rising to playfulness again. She wanted Mr. Darcy to account for his having ever fallen in love with her. This is great. How could you begin? Said she. I can comprehend your going on charmingly when you had once made a beginning, but what could set you off in the first place? I cannot fix on the hour or the spot or the look or the words which lay the foundation. It is too long ago. I was in the middle before I knew that I had begun. Yes! God, that's so good. Like, this is what I want, guys. That's great. My beauty you had early withstood. And as for my manners, my behavior to you was at least always bordering on the uncivil. And I never spoke to you without rather wishing to give you pain than not. Now be sincere. Did you admire me for my impertinence? For the liveliness of your mind, I did. You may as well call it impertinence at once. It was very little less. The fact is that you were sick of civility, of deference, of officious attention. You were disgusted with the women who were always speaking and looking and thinking of for your approbation alone. This is interesting because she's teasing him, but she's so right. Would Darcy have liked Lizzie had Lizzie not hated him immediately? Probably not, because that shows a little bit of her character of impertinence. And he likes that. He likes someone blunt that's talking to him. Except if you're Collins and you're doing that, you know? I roused and interested you because I was so unlike them. I'm not like every other girl. That's great. Had you not been really amiable, you would have hated me for it. But in spite of the pains you took to disguise yourself, your feelings were always noble and just. And in your heart, you thoroughly despised the person who so assiduously courted you. There, I have saved you the trouble of accounting for it. And really, all things considered, I begin to think of it perfectly reasonable. To be sure, you knew no actual good of me, but nobody thinks of that when they fall in love. Huh. There was no good in your affectionate behavior to Jane while she was there. Was there no good in your affectionate behavior to Jane while she was ill at Netherfield? Dearest Jane, who could have done less for her? But make a virtue of it by all means. My good qualities are under your protection, and you are to exaggerate them as much as possible. And in return, it belongs to me to find occasion for teasing and quarreling with you as often as may be. And I may begin directly by asking you, what made you so unwilling to come to the last, to the point at last? What made you so shy of me when you first called, and afterward dined here? Why, especially when you called, did you look as if you did not care about me? Because you were grave and silent, and gave me no encouragement. But I was embarrassed, and so was I. You might have talked to me more than when you came to dinner. A man who had felt less might. How unlucky that you should have a reasonable answer to give. That I would be so reasonable as to admit it. But I wonder how long you would have gone on if you had been left to yourself. I wonder when you would have spoken if I had not asked you. My resolution of thanking you for your kindness to Lydia had certainly great effect. Too much, I am afraid. For what becomes of the moral if our comfort springs from a breach of promise? For I ought not to have mentioned the subject. This will never do. You need not distress yourself. The moral will be perfectly fair. Lady Catherine's unjustifiable endeavors to separate us were the means of removing all my doubts. I am not indebted for my present happiness to your eager desire of expressing your gratitude. I was not in a humor to wait for any opening of yours. My aunt's intelligence had given me hope, and I was determined at once to know everything. Lady Catherine has been of infinite use, which ought to make her happy, for she loves to be of use. But tell me, why did you come down to what did you come down to Netherfield for? Was it merely to ride to Longbourn and be embarrassed? Or had you intended a more serious consequence? My real purpose was to see you, and to judge, if I could, whether I might ever hope to make you love me, my avowed one, or what I avowed to myself, was to see whether your sister were still partial to Bingley, and if she were, to make the confession to him which I have since made. Shall you ever have the courage to announce to Lady Catherine what is to befall her? I am more likely to want time than courage, Elizabeth. But it ought to be done. And if you will give me a sheet of paper, it shall be done directly. And if I had not a letter to write myself, I might sit by you and admire the evenness of your writing, as another young lady once did. But I have an aunt, too, who must be longer neglected. Or who must not be longer neglected. From an unwillingness to confess how much her intimacy with Mr. Darcy had been overrated, Elizabeth had never yet answered Mrs. Gardner's long letter. But now, having that to communicate which she knew would be most welcome, she was almost ashamed to find that her aunt and uncle had already lost 3 days of happiness, and immediately wrote as follows: I would have thanked you before, my dear aunt, as I ought to have done, for your long, kind, satisfactory detail of particulars. But to say the truth, I was too cross to write. You supposed more than really existed. But now, suppose as much as you choose. Give a loose to your fancy. Indulge your imagination in every possible flight which the subject will afford. And unless you believe me actually married, you cannot greatly err. You must write again very soon and praise him a great deal more than you did in your last. I thank you again and again for not going to the lakes. How could I be so silly as to wish it? The idea of your ponies is delightful. We will go round the park every day. I am the happiest creature in the world. Perhaps other people have said so before, but not one with such justice. I am happier even than Jane. She only smiles. I laugh. It's great! Mr. Darcy sends you all the love in the world that he can spare from me. You are all to come to Pemberley at Christmas. Yours, etc. Mr. Darcy's letter to Lady Catherine was in a different style, and still different from either was what Mr. Bennet sent to Mr. Collins in reply to his last. Dear sir, I must trouble you once more for congratulations. Elizabeth will soon be the wife of Mr. Darcy. Console Lady Catherine as well as you can, but if I were you, I would stand by the nephew. He has more to give. Oh, whoa, let's go. Mr. Bennet coming out swinging. That's great. What a good letter. Miss Bingley's congratulations to her brother on his approaching marriage were all that was affectionate and sincere. She even wrote to Jane on the occasion to express her delight, and repeated all her former professions of regard. Jane was not deceived, but she was affected, and though feeling no reliance on her, could not help writing her a much kinder answer than she knew was deserved. The joy which Miss Darcy expressed on receiving similar information was as sincere as her brother's in sending it. 4 sides of paper were insufficient to contain all her delight, and all her earnest desire of being loved by her sister. Cute. That's really sweet. This ending is great, guys. This ending is really great. Before any answer could arrive from Mr. Collins, or any congratulations, I would die for what Mr. Collins says to this. Oh, Please give me the letter that Mr. Collins sends back. Oh, please. That would be the greatest. Before any answer could arrive from Mr. Collins or any congratulations to Elizabeth from his wife, the Longbourn family heard that the Collinses were come themselves to Lucas Lodge. The reason of this sudden removal was evident. Lady Catherine had been rendered so exceedingly angry by the contents of her nephew's letter that Charlotte, really rejoicing in the match, was anxious to get away till the storm was blown over. At such a moment, the arrival of her friend was a sincere pleasure to Elizabeth, though in the course of their meetings, she must sometimes think the pleasure dearly bought. When she saw Mr. Darcy exposed to all the parading and obsequious civility of her husband, he bore it, however, with admirable calmness. He could even listen to Sir William Lucas when he complimented him on carrying away the brightest jewel of the country, and expressed his hopes of all their meeting frequently at St. James's with very decent composure. If he did shrug his shoulders, it was not till Sir William was out of sight. Mrs. Phillips's vulgarity was another, and perhaps a greater tax on his forbearance. And though Mrs. Phillips, as well as her sister, stood in too much awe of him to speak with the familiarity which Bingley's good humour encouraged, yet whenever she did speak, she must be vulgar. Nor was her respect for him, though it made her more quiet, at all likely to make her more elegant. Elizabeth did all she could to shield him from the frequent notice of either, and was ever anxious to keep him to herself, and to those of her family with whom he might converse without mortification. And though the uncomfortable feelings arise from all this took from the season of courtship much of its pleasure, it added to the hope of the future, and she looked forward with much delight to the time when they should be removed from society, so little pleasing to either, to all the comfort and elegance of their family party at Pemberley. This is great. We're on the last chapter. This is crazy. Yeah, Charlotte is just so smart. Let's get away from the storm before this lady Catherine just goes insane. I wouldn't be surprised if she burned down Rosings. Yeah, Georgiana for sure lonely. I think having Lizzie there is going to be so great for her. They're going to be cute little sisters. Tolkien versus Austen ending a book. Interesting question. I have to finish Tolkien this Sunday, and then I'll answer that question. They're different. They end very differently. Tolkien buttons up everything. Jane Austen's a bit more economical with how she finishes a book, I think. She likes to get to the point. Chapter 61. The last chapter in Pride and Prejudice. Oh, yeah, poor Colonel Fitzwilliam. Yikes. Good luck for him. Yeah, there's no choice in the matter. It's just both of them are great. Chapter 61. Happy for all her maternal feelings was the day on which Mrs. Bennet got rid of her two most deserving daughters. With what delighted pride she afterward visited Mrs. Bingley and talked of Mr. Darcy may be guessed. I wish I could say, for the sake of her family, that the accomplishment of her earnest desire and the establishment of so many of her children produced so happy an effect as to make her sensible, amiable, well-informed woman for the rest of her life, though it perhaps was lucky for her husband, who might not have relished domestic felicity in so unusual a form, that she still was occasionally nervous and invariably silly. People don't change. Mr. Bennet missed his second daughter exceedingly. His affection for her drew him oftener from home than anything else could do. He delighted in going to Pemberley, especially when he was least expected. Mr. Bingley and Jane remained at Netherfield only 12 months. So near a vicinity to her mother and Meryton relations was not desirable, even to his easy temper or her affectionate heart. Come on, go off on near Pemberley. The darling wish of his sister was then gratified. He bought an estate in a neighboring county to Derbyshire. And Jane and Elizabeth, in addition to every other source of happiness, were within 30 miles of each other. Kitty, to her very material advantage, spent the chief of her time with her 2 eldest sisters. In society so superior to what she had generally known, her improvement was great. She was not so ungovernable as a temper as Lydia, and removed from the influence of Lydia's example, she became a proper attention and management, less irritable, less ignorant, and less insipid. Yes, there we go. Good for you. Let's go, Kitty. Good job. From the farther advantage of Lydia's society, she was of course carefully kept. And though Mrs. Wickham frequently invited her to come and stay with her, with the promise of balls and young men, her father would never consent to her going. There you go. He's fathering. Mary was the only daughter who remained at home, and she was necessarily drawn from the pursuit of accomplishment by Mrs. Bennet being quite unable to sit alone. Mary was obliged to mix more with the world, but she could still moralize over every morning visit. And as she was no longer mortified by comparisons between her sisters' beauty and her sister's beauty and her own, it was suspected by her father that she submitted to the change without much reluctance. I wonder what's going to become of her. I feel like she's just going to be like her parents' caretaker. And I feel like she'd be really fine with that. As for Wickham and Lydia, their characters suffered no revolution from the marriage of her sisters. He bore with philosophy the conviction that Elizabeth must now become acquainted with whatever of his ingratitude and falsehood had been unknown to her, and in spite of everything, was not wholly without hope that Darcy might yet be prevailed on to make his fortune. The congratulatory letter which Elizabeth received from Lydia on her marriage explained to her that by his wife at least, if not by himself, such a hope was cherished. The letter was to this effect. My dear Lizzie, I wish you joy. If you love Mr. Darcy half as well as I do my dear Wickham, you must be very happy. It is a great comfort to have you so rich. And when you have nothing else to do, I hope you will think of us. Gosh, she's already not happy. I feel like there's already a tinge of unhappiness in this. I am sure Wickham would like a place at court very much. And I do not think we shall have quite money enough to live upon without some help. Any place would do, of about 300 or 400 a year. But however, do not speak to Mr. Darcy about that if you had rather not. That's sad. That's so sad. I think she's realizing that her life is going to be hard. I actually don't blame Lydia for this. I mean, I think not like Wickham is like the worst. Honestly, yeah, I feel like as sad as that might sound, that's like Lydia's best hope. She's realizing her life's going to be poor, but at the same point, she's realizing her life's going to be poor. But if you have siblings that are that wealthy, like, I mean, she's hinting that they can help. They would probably help without her hinting that. But would they? I don't know what it'd be like in this society. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, she's so immature. She hasn't really had parenting. I don't really blame her for this letter. This letter is just more sad to me than anything else. Anyway, let's finish it up. As it happened that Elizabeth had much rather not, she endeavored in her answer to put an end to every entreaty and expectation of the kind. Such relief, however, as it was in her power to afford by the practice of what might be called economy in her own private expenses, she frequently sent them. It had always been evident to her that such an income as theirs, under the direction of two persons so extravagant in their wants and heedless of the future, must be very insufficient to their support. and whenever they changed their quarters, either Jane or herself were so sure of being applied to for some little assistance toward discharging their bills. Their manner of living, even when the restoration of peace dismissed them to a home. Well, there's an end note. Restoration of peace. Referring to the Treaty of Amiens in 1802. The RWC, speculating about the latter revisions to the novel, has suggested that it perhaps equally possible that in 1812 she looked forward to the peace that was to come. Interesting. Was unsettled in the extreme. They were always moving from place to place in quest of a cheap situation, and always spending more than they ought. His affection for her soon sunk into indifference. Hers lasted a little longer. In spite of her youth and her manners, she retained all the claims to reputation which her marriage had given her. That's sad. That's so sad. Your headcanon. Wickham fakes his death at Waterloo just to get rid of Lydia. And they would both be happy of that, probably. And then Lydia would probably come out of that, maybe with some sense. Maybe not. That's a hard thing to do. Though Darcy could never receive him at Pemberley. Yet, for Elizabeth's sake, he assisted him farther in his profession. Lydia was occasionally a visitor there, when her husband was gone to enjoy himself in London or Bath. And with the Bingleys, they both of them frequently stayed so long that even the Bingleys' good humor was overcome, and he proceeded so far as to talk of giving them a hint to be gone. Miss Bingley was very deeply mortified by Darcy's marriage. But as she thought it advisable to retain the rights of visiting at Pemberley, she dropped all her resentments, was fonder than ever of Georgiana, almost as attentive to Darcy heretofore, and paid off every arrear of civility to Elizabeth. She's lost. She's lost. Yeah, the enjoy himself in London or Bath doesn't seem great. That's pretty sad. That whole thing is just so tragic to me. Man. Pemberley was now Georgiana's home, and the attachment of her sisters was exactly what Darcy had hoped to see. They were able to love each other, even as they intended. Georgiana had the highest opinion in the world of Elizabeth, though at first she often listened with an astonishment bordering on alarm. At her lively, sportive manner of talking to her brother, or at her lively sportive manner of talking to her brother. He who had always inspired in her the respect to which almost overcame her affections. She now saw the object of open pleasantry. Her mind received knowledge which had never before fallen in her way. By Elizabeth's instructions, she began to comprehend that a woman may take liberties with her husband, which a brother will not always allow in a sister more than 10 years younger than himself. What a great thing for Georgiana. I need a sequel about Georgiana's life. Please, give me a sequel about who Georgiana marries and how good of a person she becomes because of this. Love this. Lady Catherine was extremely indignant on the marriage of her nephew, and as she gave way to all the genuine frankness of her character, in her reply to the letter which announced its arrangement, she sent him language so very abusive, especially of Elizabeth, that for some time all intercourse was at an end. That's a little double meaning in that. Not really, but for me, there's a funny double meaning in that. But at length, by Elizabeth's persuasion, he was prevailed on to overlook the offense and seek a reconciliation. And after a little farther resistance on the part of his aunt, her resentment gave way, either to her affection for him, or her curiosity to see how his wife conducted herself. And she condescended to wait on them at Pemberley in spite of that pollution which its woods had received, not merely from the presence of such a mistress, but the visits of her uncle and aunt from the city. With the Gardiners, they were always on the most intimate terms. Darcy, as well as Elizabeth, really loved them. and they were both ever sensible of the warmest gratitude toward the persons who, by bringing her into Derbyshire, had been the means of uniting them. The end. Man! What a fun ending. Wow. Man, I just want more. I want more. I'm sure there's tons of fanfics, but I just want more. Georgiana discovers teasing. Moral of the book. Angry people are not always wise. Honestly, that is one of the biggest morals of this book. Wow, what a good book. What a good book, guys. That was excellent. I would say I think my only qualm is what we just encountered today. That I wish we got the actual dialogue. I think this book is a perfectly written book. I think this book is so excellent. You never tread the words the end so much. My only... Yeah, it is really fun how it ends with the gardeners. I would have liked one more paragraph, maybe focusing on Elizabeth and Darcy a bit more. But I do love that it's like wrapping things up a little bit. But I don't know. My only qualm was we didn't get the conversation that happened with the proposal. I just wanted the dialogue there. But we'll see when we do the some of the adaptations, whether they have good moments like that in there or not. So good. I'm in like I'm like feeling the post finish a book blues right now. I'm starting to come down. For some reason, there's tons of Pride and Prejudice. Hardly anything for Austen's other novels. Interesting. I guess Pride and Prejudice is like the most popular. Wow, a ratio of 50-1 at least. That's crazy. I know, this is crazy. Finishing both Lord of the Rings. We're going to finish Lord of the Rings Sunday. That's going to be crazy. But Lord of the Rings is just the beginning of a journey. And this is kind of the beginning of the journey, too. We get to read a lot of other... Austen books. Oh, Fitz. Thanks for the 27. Enjoyed your commentary, too. Really loved it. Ooh, which of the 3 proposals had the best banger line? It's still Collins. I want to assure you of the violence of my affections for you. That's a great line. It's still a great line. I need to revisit all the proposals to be completely honest. Darcy did have a good line in his too, but I kind of forgot what it was. It was something along the same lines of Collins. I'm excited for Persuasion now. You guys are hyping me up for Persuasion. Fitz, thanks for the 27 Canadians, 28 Canadians, and go enjoy work. Honestly, yeah, Sam and Rosie comparing to the couples, there is a lot of comparisons to make with that. Maybe I'll probably do another hangout. Like maybe we'll have like a debrief after every single book that we do for this channel. I'm gonna watch the movie. Maybe I'll make a video out of me watching some of the movie and maybe make some reactions stuff. But I think I'll probably do like a debrief, maybe sometime next week after I've like thought about it, and we'll maybe just talk about the end of this novel, maybe how it compares to some Lord of the Rings stuff, how it compares to some other novels, some favorite moments, some like, anticipations. We'll have like a week to process and then we'll go. Oh, Ja, thanks for the $5. When you asked if we'd be happy to see Darcy and Elizabeth get together, or if it was just a plot contrivance. Yeah, for sure. It's a great point. It's so funny too, because like she did such a good job of weaving this whole narrative together, and it's all over the place. Like, I think a novel like this is almost harder to wrap up than like a Lord of the Rings novel because it's just so gossipy. There's so many loose ends because gossip is just going every direction. So it's still so good. Such a good finish of this novel. Man, I should have like a whole rating system, or I mean, like you have the Goodreads ranks, but this is so good. I'm really excited for other stuff now. Yeah, there's so much AI fanfic now that it's a bit ridiculous. And there's so many like, yeah, there's just a bunch of slop out there. There's people that are just pumping off full books of AI and trying to make money off of that, which is just dumb. I am for sure an Austenite. My first book, I'm an Austenite. I'm again, I am very excited to keep reading more of Jane Austen to see how much more of an Austenite I'll become. Pride and Prejudice gave you ideas when you were going for your now wife. Not sure how much general application there is to this. She never talked or corresponded with another author. Interesting. Wow. You've seen make your own fanfic ads. That's crazy to me. It's AI is getting out of hand. That's ridiculous. Austin Land, yeah. Intercourse. Maybe that's what we'll title the debrief that we have. An intercourse on Jane Austen. She kept her writing secret from all her family. That's crazy. Was there a reason that she did that? There was a movie, Jane Austen Ruin Your Life. I haven't seen it. Has somebody? Never even heard of that. What are all the... Okay, real quick. What are all the adaptations of Pride and Prejudice? It's not respectable to write novels. That's crazy. That's sad. So we have the movie. We have the BBC. We have two... Aren't there two movies? Isn't there a BBC movie? She read her stories out loud to her family, especially her sister Cassandra. There's a 1940s movie. Interesting. Yeah, well, I'll give Austen Land a shot. Definitely a case of the book is better than the movie, even though they really enjoyed the BBC. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Keira Knightley's going to be a good Elizabeth. I do think... who plays Jane again? What's her name? I think she's a great Jane. Just by looks, because I'm looking at all the images when I'm coming up with thumbnails for the videos. Dang. Clueless is based on Emma. Okay, interesting. Alice Bell. Interesting pen name decision. Yeah, Rosamund Pike, yeah. So we'll do... Should I do the 1940s? Wow, 1940s movie, 1957, 1967. 1980 series, 1985 series, 2005 movie, plus Bride and Prejudice and Bridget Jones' Diaries from Modern. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Probably won't do all of that, to be completely honest. But I'll definitely do the newest movie. And then Lizzie Bennett Diaries is a YouTube vlog style adaptation that you love. Modern take. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we'll do the BBC adaptation series with Jennifer L. And then we'll do... I'm sure there's so many like things based on Pride and Prejudice. It seems like a story as old as time. Yeah, You've Got Mail for sure feels like that. I haven't seen You Got Mail in years. But I'll do the BBC Jennifer L one and then the movie, and then we'll see what else we get into there. I don't want to go that much into some of the adaptations. I'll watch those maybe on some of my own time and talk about them. But I want to get to the next book. So we'll probably have like a week of We have till February, probably like the first week of February, for videos that are just going to keep getting published for Pride and Prejudice. And then we'll probably start, what is next? Next Monday is the 1st. We'll probably start sometime late next week for Wuthering Heights. Maybe we'll have like a week off. Maybe next like Thursday we'll start. I open the weather app rather than the calendar. Yeah, maybe next Thursday we'll start Wuthering Heights. So everyone, totally change your mood, because that's going to be a little different. And then we'll get into it then. Interesting, you dislike Jennifer L. as Elizabeth. I remember when I did see that adaptation like 20 years ago, I did like it. Yeah, to be honest, well, yeah, Kendrick, I've been thinking about some of the videos. I probably will have 4 or 5 for these chapters. Maybe more, it depends, we'll see. And that'll only be like 2 days. So what are the videos currently to? Let me check this real quick. I think there's like till February 7th or something. February 6th is the last one, which is next Thursday. So it's still a week. But wait, is that February 6th? No, February 6th. February 5th. February 6th is Friday. So it'll probably take us to like next Sunday, the videos. And then maybe I'll do like a video on me watching the movie and reacting to some scenes in the movie or something. And then we'll do Wuthering Heights. Crazy. What a good book, though. What a really good book. Pride and Prejudice debrief. We'll do a live stream debrief sometime next week. Like maybe Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. Rachel Maxey edited herself into the 2005 Pride and Prejudice, and it's hilarious. Send the videos in the Discord. Now we don't have to worry about spoilers. We can just chat about Pride and Prejudice freely. Maybe I'll do Pride and Prejudice too. Everyone has been praising that one, so that'd be kind of fun. You're gonna attempt your first time read of Wuthering Heights during the live streams. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait. Get ready for a mood change. Get ready for a drastic mood change. Good book. What a good book. Still love Darcy. Darcy might be my favorite. All right, guys. It was a pleasure. It's Ellie, not Jennifer L. Interesting. I always thought it was L. Jennifer Ellie. All right. Jennifer Ely. I'm terrible at pronouncing stuff. But yeah, we're on our way from Pemberley to the moors. It was a pleasure, guys. Okay, send me the budget Pride and Prejudice. Send me all the good stuff in the Discord. If you have the Discord, jump in the Ellie like the town. I didn't even know there was a town named Ellie, so there you go. But guys, it was a pleasure. Really had a good time reading this with you. Thanks for I love this because you guys are helping me with new information, helping me get acquainted with some of this stuff. It's been a pleasure. I had a really good time. Had really, really good time with you guys had a really good time with you guys. And then we'll continue our Austin sometime in the next few months. But stay for Wuthering Heights, because get ready to get depressed. Apparently. All right, guys. Have a good one. This is the last time we're going to play this one. Oh, I had this. I should have started playing this, because I was going to have this as reactions. Actually made that into the thing. I should have started playing that every time I was going crazy. But I'm going to have that for all the other reactions that we have in any of the other books that we read. And anytime there's a moment like that, I'm just going to go. All right, guys. Have a good one, and I will see you in the next one.
I'm 27 years old. I've no money and no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents. And I'm frightened.